Welcome back to the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy Green, your host from The Wellness Strategy, and we're here to talk about all things personal and professional wellbeing. This podcast is designed to help you become curious and consider your everyday wellbeing strategies, what you do for your own wellness, and how you can start to transform your life both in and out of the workplace. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, maybe grab a notepad, a journal, and get ready to feel really enlightened about what wellbeing used to be, what it is now, and where you can take your own wellness strategy. This is a bit of a mixed bag of questions. It is common to get a range of questions, and I wanted to have some fun with this by answering some questions from different categories that I thought we could unpack and that would shed some light on different things. So the first question is all around, I'm a new teacher and I don't understand why we can't share programs or planning. Why are we all doing the same thing and working harder, not smarter? I don't know why this is happening, but what I want to say is it should be. We need to be better at sharing. We need to be better at sharing resources. We need to be better at making sure that we're not working so hard and we're actually working smarter. I acknowledge that this might be challenging in some schools where you might only have one class or two classes per year level or subject. Let's use the schools around us. Let's use our system. Let's use online forums and rooms. And I don't mean Facebook groups. I mean actual formal places that are set up and structured for us to connect, to collaborate, to align planning templates and expectations, to share resources in a really organized, structured way so that we know what is happening and who's doing what. We're in the same profession and we want the same thing. Let's work together. The second question is, what are the best tips for new teachers to balance wellbeing and performance, especially in a first year? But what I'm going to share is advice for everyone, because it doesn't matter whether in your first year or your 15th, sometimes we forget this. What I want to say is, when we are able to recognize what we need for wellbeing, the solution becomes a lot easier. So what I mean by this is, don't ask yourself what I should do. Ask yourself how I want to feel. How do I want to feel with myself? What type of person do I want to be? And then what might I do? And of course, there are some foundations to come back to. We all must acknowledge that sleep and nutrition and movement and rest and hydration are key. And these are what I call the non-negotiables of energy and function. And even though we know about them and we're like, yeah, I know what healthy eating looks like and rest and sleep, they are also the things we let go of first. We let go of them when life gets busy, and instead we must prioritize them. So what I would recommend to anyone is, first of all, figure out what your key non-negotiables are and put that into your planning day first. If sleep is really important to you, ask yourself, what do I need to do of an evening to ensure I sleep well? If you know that nutrition really fuels your energy and your brain, how do you make it that a priority to get that done? When we can do the foundations, then we can build our day around that and things start to become a little bit easier. Maybe not straight away, but definitely over time. The other thing I would say for any new educator, or even if you've started at a new school, is don't compare yourself to the teacher next door or the great teacher that's always getting praised for doing wonderful things, or the person you're like, wow, I wish I was like them, because they've probably been doing it longer than you. And know that every educator has lessons or even days where we just don't have it together, where we think in our heads, this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden we're like, what was I thinking? How on earth did I think that was going to work? So we've got to be brave enough to step in the spaces of asking ourselves, is this actually going to work for me? Is it not? And if it doesn't, does it matter? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't. So don't compare yourself, know what you need, and build your foundations of well-being around how you want to feel and be, not just what you think you should do. As a middle leader in primary, how do I find time to help my team when I also have teaching jobs? What takes priority? My advice here is ask your team. Let them know that you have time to support them, and that whilst there might be 1,000 things that need doing, which ones of those are going to best help them. Sometimes we think as leaders we have to carry it all and do it all, but I would be very open and transparent with the amount of time you have that you can give and let them help you organize those tasks. The next thing you want to do too is then look at the day that you have available and start to build some rhythm and routine around this. For example, you might spend the first hour of that day replying to email and doing ad hoc tasks. You might then find yourself 2 hours that you can dedicate to longer term projects that are going to have a really big impact, and this will be called deep work time. So from 10 to 12 every Friday, it's deep work time. You're not available for meetings. You're not available for anything else because you're getting the things done that are going to have a really big impact and return on investment. And then you might spend the afternoon maybe in a meeting doing some ad hoc things, emails, helping people out. Build rhythms and routines and boundaries with the time you have available. What are my thoughts on a 4-day working week? I think they're possible, but they're probably not 4 days for staff and students. Unfortunately, the school system is designed for 5 days a week, and that's something that we could consider and keep even if we were to move to a 4-day week for staff, but it wouldn't be a 4-day working week. What I have seen work well, and yep, there's a school doing this, it is 4 days on site, 1 day at home, and that's a work from home day. And there are work from home conditions and expectations around that. There are expectations around the work that needs to happen. There are accountability measures in place, but it is autonomy and it is flexibility for 1 day a week where staff can choose how they work and what they do it. It is the same day for every staff member, I think a Friday. And on that Friday, students are doing work placements, work experience. They have guest speakers in, they run an alternative program, they do fitness classes, they do project-based learning, a range of different things that happen, workshops, experts come in and do different things. Is it possible? Yeah. Does it require a lot of different thinking and restructuring? Absolutely. Do I think you can do it? Yeah, I think we can all do it. We seem to focus a lot on wellbeing, but nothing changes. How do we fix it? There is a difference between focusing on wellbeing, e.g. running PD sessions, and change. And this is about understanding some of it's personal, some of it's professional. But in a workplace, what we want to be highlighting is wellbeing that is focused around building engagement. So people are engaged in their work, it's fulfilling, it's meaningful, they know what they're doing and why. The second thing is we want people to be productive. It's reviewing systems, structures, and processes so people can work efficiently, effectively, and with energetic sustainability. And it's about performance and growth. What are our standards of excellence? What are our levels of performance? Do we know what done looks like? Are we being clear and kind? And how are we continually growing? It's about creating a great workplace that allows people to do their job well. It's not about morning teas and yoga classes. So I think we need to reflect about what we're talking about. And are we just saying, yeah, we care about well-being and not doing anything, because that's not the right message? Instead, we want to be able to actually demonstrate action. Now that's going to look different school to school, workplace to workplace, because we're all at different points. But we can't keep putting well-being on the agenda if we're not prepared to make change and have evidence of how we value it. Do we need to strike to get action? I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know enough about how that would work, and I really hope we can get change without having to do something drastic like that. What do I use to make questionnaires? Slido. We use a program called Slido. It's anonymous. You can put in questions, but there are lots out there. Mentimeter is another one. You can use Jotform. There's plenty out there to be able to capture data, whether it is anonymous or not. How did I get myself back to sleep at 3 a.m. without using melatonin or other sleeping aids? First of all, when I answer this, this is my own personal experience. I am not an expert in this space at all, but what I want to highlight is that this strategy worked for me, and only upon reflection can I realize that. So what I did, first of all, was I stopped the intensity of my day. I stopped the stress factors I could control, like getting up at 5 a.m. and doing powerlifting first thing in the morning, and fasting and not eating and fueling my body properly, or skipping lunch. I stopped cramming my afternoon with activities, learning, trainings up until 8 p.m. And I started to build in micro moments of rest. So instead of going to the gym every day, I started walking some mornings a week. Instead of getting up at 5 a.m., I let my body learn to sleep better. Instead of making sure my afternoons were filled with things I thought were going to help me be successful in a great workout, I left blank spaces so I could do things based on how I felt. I became aware of how I was spending my time, and I limited the scrolling on my phone and the kind of doing nothing, and asked myself instead, what's going to help me rest and reset regularly across the day? I started taking sometimes 2, sometimes 20 minutes to eat my lunch. I made sure I went outdoors more during the day. I limited negative conversation. I started to pay attention to how I was expending energy. Was it on things that were helping me move forward, or was it on gossip and things I couldn't control? I started to really nourish my body, making sure I was eating regularly to maintain energy. And I built in little ways to rest and recover. So at the end of the day, what I wasn't doing was trying to recover from a whole day of pushing my threshold. We have to rest, recover, rest, recover. When I did this for a long period of time, what I noticed, or after I did this for a long period of time, what I noticed was I started to sleep better because I was regulated. I was regulating my nervous system through the day. It took time and it took practice, and some days I didn't get it right and some days I still don't get it right. But what I stopped doing was pushing myself so far that by the time I got home, I was exhausted. And all I could think about was laying on the couch and then trying to go to sleep. But of course, I didn't give my nervous system or cortisol time to reduce and rest. So then I couldn't sleep. So we've got to build in rest. That's what worked for me. Now, I'm not a professional. Please go and seek help if that's what you need to do. Please go and talk to someone who is an expert in this space. Why not focus on the positives of the profession, like schools, colleagues, students, things that contribute to happiness? Yeah, we should do that. And I do that. When I work with schools one-on-one, we always highlight the things that work really well. It's important. But we're not going to get change if we only focus on the good things. And to be really honest, it's not what people want to hear all the time. And sometimes we do it to avoid the things that need changing. So yes, absolutely, great things happen in schools, in workplaces, for education. But right now we need to have a real conversation around things that are impacting happiness and well-being as well. Because if we can't name it, we can't change it. And so acknowledging what's working is one step. Being real and raw and open and honest and vulnerable with what's not is another. And then actually being prepared to make change is the next. And that's when we're going to start to see happiness appear in different areas for more people too. Can you meditate on school time? Sure. I used to work with a colleague who would have a nap during the day or a little meditation session. And if they had their 20-minute lunch break, they would spend 10 of it laying down on the floor in their classroom with a pillow and blanket, eye mask on, headphones in, meditation music, done. I know of schools that have introduced sensory rooms for staff where they have noise cancelling headphones, where they have eye masks, where they have bean bags. You can go in there, you can sit down, set yourself a timer, do some deep breathing, do some meditation, whatever you might like to do. That space is also for deep work. It's a no talk zone. We would do this for students. Why shouldn't we do it for ourselves? In fact, if you are an educator in a classroom, there is no harm in spending 3 to 5 minutes of your lesson deep breathing, meditating with students. I used to do this every lesson to help regulate them and myself and get ready for learning. It's a great way to have a transition. It's a little micro rest. Micro rests are key. How do you prioritize sleep when you have a million things to do? Well, sleep is one of the million things on the to-do list. And to be honest, you can't neglect it. Neglecting sleep is going to increase your perception of stress. It's going to decrease your ability to think clearly. It's going to decrease cognitive function. It's going to increase your cravings for sugary and sweet foods. And these things are just going to impact your ability to sleep. So you've got to get out of the cycle. The other thing to do is you've got to learn what's important and what's not. We will always have lots of things on our to-do list, but some of them are not as important as others, even though we tell ourselves they are. The number one question I ask myself is, what do I need to do today that must happen in order for tomorrow to be great? Now, it's not always doing things like cleaning out the fridge or organizing my wardrobe in color or making sure I laminate these activities for the students or making sure I change the display. Those things are not always super important. We have to get better at discerning between what we must do and what we tell ourselves we should be doing because we can, and what we don't need to do at all. We're just making it up and it's adding to workload. One of the best ways to do this is with someone else, whether it's your team, whether it is with a leader, or whether it is with a coach or a therapist like I have. And this is one of the things that I used to do with my leader and with my coach and therapist when I started to go through this work, take my to-do lists and help them and have them help me identify what I must do, what I can do with that extra space that I have, and what I can delay and what I don't need to do at all. I still do this now sometimes when I get really overwhelmed, and sometimes we look at things and go, you know what, we're just not going to do that as much as I'd like to. I don't have capacity right now. So it goes on the dream list. Have a dream list and have a to-do list. When you can understand that, and sleep is on the to-do list, you have to make it a priority. And the last question, how do you make sure your partner is not the target of grumpiness at the end of the day? I feel you. We all get in moods and we all get in ways where we feel like if someone else talks to us, we're going to snap. And unfortunately, those close to us are usually the ones we take it out on. And this is something I have worked a lot on over the past years in being able to make sure I'm regulated and clear and kind, because we don't want to be taking it out on the people we love. What this means, though, is honesty and vulnerability. It is very common in our house for us, both my partner and I, to share when we feel like we're not in the best mood, and so we're not going to show up in the best way. So if my partner comes home some days and I am in the middle of a work task, or I'm really tired, or I'm feeling frustrated about something and he wants to have a chat, I will very quickly say to him, hey, I know this is important, but I've got to finish XYZ. Can we chat in 20 minutes? Usually he's like, yeah, no problem. Or I might say something like, I had a really big day. I've just shut my laptop. My head hurts. I need to go for a walk before I can chat. No problem. Sometimes he's the same. He's had a really big work day. He's gotten in late and I want to have a chat to him about something. And he might say, you know what, I know this is important, but I can't do this today. Can we talk tomorrow about it? Of course. Sometimes we both have big days and we decide going for a walk together is the best thing. This is about knowing what space you need to regulate. And there are 3 really clear things to do. First of all, know your own emotions, understand they're just data, they're not good or bad, recognize that they come with energy. It's how we disperse the energy that matters. Taking it out on someone else, being rude, abrupt, yelling is not kind and it's not clear and it's not okay. Learn to process that in a different way, going for a walk, having a clear and kind conversation, saying, I know this is important, but let's chat tomorrow. Recognize that putting yourself first is actually putting others first. So do the thing, read the book, spend time in your garden, hang out with your pets, go for a walk, do some exercise, move the energy of the emotion. And then know that you can communicate clearly and kindly with your partner, with your siblings, with your children, whomever it is, because you've given yourself that space. We love answering different questions. That's been really fun. I hope that you have enjoyed some of those explanations and answers. And if you ever have a different question, let me know. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really do hope you have enjoyed it. The information discussed today was just that, information only. It's not specific advice. If you take action following something you heard today, it's important to make sure that you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or otherwise. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's anything else I can do to support your own wellbeing and wellness journey, whether it's another topic you'd like me to discuss or whether it's support in your school, workplace, or individually. And if you do know someone who might benefit from listening to this, please remember to tell them about it, share the episode with them, or suggest my Instagram, my website, or LinkedIn where they can find out more about me and what I do. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.